The last time my office was shown in a video, it looked like this. The large desk that I built a few years ago, which was meant to be my dream desk, wasn't really working out so well. So I ended up repurposing it into this sideboard type thing, and I installed a TV to the wall. And the sliding door cabinet that I made to accompany the desk now sits on the opposite wall. I got a new desk and put it right in the middle of the room because I wanted to be closer to the natural light from the sliding doors, and I filled the remaining space with this chair and footrest. And I've been liking this layout a lot more, but I still think I can make this room work and look better. And so we're doing something a little bit different in this week's video, although there will still be some woodworking and DIY.
And some very unusual salvaging.
I want to fix a number of problems. The first of which is that this chair placed here feels like a bit of an afterthought, which is exactly what it was, by the way. The space to walk around to my desk now feels a little bit tight, and I'd like to be able to watch TV from this chair, which I can't currently do because the desk is in the way. This is the TV that I watch all of my videos back on before I publish them to YouTube, so a final check of video and audio levels. So I'm now thinking about moving my desk over here, giving me even more natural light, and moving my chair over that way. But I have no power along this wall. The nearest power socket is here, so I need to check if the cables are going to reach first.
This desk is extremely heavy and I need to figure out a way to move it on my own. So I put my back into it. I'm left with a power and an Ethernet cable that I need to hide, so I'm using some mini trunking with peel and stick adhesive on the back to tidy things up. Now I need to remove everything from the wall to make good, ready for putting it back again in the right place, as I need my acoustic panels to sit right behind my desk. I leave the filler proud so that I can sand it flush later. The fixings I'm using for these panels are called button fix. They slot into these on the back of the panels and they work great. I'll leave a link to these in the description box. After coat of paint number 2, these old holes will be invisible. I'll leave a link to a video about how I made these panels in the description, but basically they eliminate a lot of the echo that was in the room, allowing me to record better quality audio.
The second problem in this room is lighting. I have just one pendant light on the ceiling, and it made things uncomfortably bright when it was shining down on me where my desk used to be, but way too dark at the back here where there is no natural light. Now, I've been watching a YouTube channel called Caroline Winkler recently, and I've learned loads about interior design and decor. And one of Caroline's key design principles is that every room should have at least 3 sources of light. So I've bought some things. The first is a new light fitting for the ceiling. It has 3 bulbs rather than 1, and each of them is directional, meaning I should be able to better illuminate those dark corners.
I was immediately impressed by the quality of this for the money. What I wasn't impressed by though was the packaging.
The second is this lamp here, and this leads me on to the next problem in this room and another of Caroline's design principles, which is that there's no accent colour in this room. As you can see, the main thing we've got going on is dark green. I've also got those dark grey heavy curtains and sound panels. But the sound panels have these orange flecks in them. And as orange is one of my favourite colours, I'm going to use it to introduce a pop of colour and warmth to the room.
I'm using a scouring pad to roughen up the surface of these lampshades to help the new paint to adhere. Then I can mask off the inside, and I'm using some orange spray paint to introduce that colour. I was having some issues with the wind though, so I relocated to the workshop. I've turned off the lighting circuit, so I'm just checking that nothing is live. And now for my least favourite job, working upside down with fiddly electrical components and arm ache. Here's another product that I love, smart plugs. While these do allow me to turn things on and off using my phone, just like most other humans, when I pick up my phone, I get distracted. So what I like to do is get one of these smart buttons, and you can program these to turn on and off one or multiple devices. This comes with a magnetic plate, and I'm going to stick that to the underside of my desk.
One thing that helps me keep on top of keeping things like my PC and keyboard clean is this fantastic cordless air duster from Wolfbox. Wow, that's a lot of cat hair. I've also been using it a lot in the workshop too to keep things dust free prior to applying finishes, blowing out air filters in my dust extractors, keeping my toolboxes clean. Honestly, it's one of the most useful tools I've come across in years, particularly because you can take it anywhere and it has a replaceable battery. This thing is deceptively powerful for such a small tool, with a maximum wind speed of 87.5 meters per second, but it has 3 adjustable speeds so you can dial it down when needed, and it has 4 nozzle attachments, including a flat one for wide surfaces and a long one for those hard to reach areas. You get between 10 and 105 minutes on a single charge, depending on what power setting you choose, and it charges fully in 2.5 to 3 hours. And it's got me wondering if I really still need that huge air compressor taking up space in the corner of my workshop, which now only tends to get used once or twice a year. I'd highly recommend checking one of these out. It really is such a useful thing to have around.
Get £10 off your Wolfbox MegaFlow 200 air duster using the coupon code WBSAVE. I'll leave a link in the description box.
Since moving my desk over here, if the sun's out, it gets to a certain point in the day when I just can't see my monitors because I'm being blinded by the light. So I've bought an orange blind to install above the door. Now for the next problem that I would like to fix. Seeing the back of a desk as you look into a room isn't great. I really don't like seeing all of the cables going into the back of my PC like this. So I want to make some kind of privacy screen to hide all this. I was at my local DIY store this morning and they often have offcuts near the exit. And you can just give a donation to charity and take them away. And I got some of this, I don't know what it is, it's like some kind of high density board, but it's really quite rigid and I think this will do the job nicely for the screen. I don't want whatever this plasticky veneer is though, so I'm going to give that a sanding and see if it comes off.
On one side, I'm just going to roughen up the surface to accept a coat of paint. But on the other, I'll try to get rid of that veneer entirely. The heat gun wasn't really helping, so I just had to be patient and sand it away. I added a round over to each corner to kind of soften the look a bit. And then I started marking out for a grid, because I want to drill a series of holes in this, which is going to make it lighter in weight and lighter in appearance too. After drilling a 6mm pilot hole, I can then use a step cutter bit to widen each hole, and this is going to leave a really nice clean hole on both sides, which I don't think a spade bit, a Forstner bit or an auger bit would have done. While I was in the workshop, I noticed that I quite liked the texture here, so I decided to add a coat of wax, thinking that I could use this as the face that you would see as you enter the room, and then the other side got 3 coats of black paint.
I still want to be able to easily access the back of my PC from time to time, so what I'm thinking is if I can make the partition screen slidable. And in the workshop I found an old piece of T-track. So I'm thinking that I'll mount this to the underside like this, but I also want to create some space for these cables. So I'm going to mount a block of wood first and then the T-track.
Now I just need to make a runner to fit inside the T-track, and I'm using solid oak for this. And then I have a batten which I can add to the back. I just need to scrape away the paint to get good adhesion. And then on the top of that batten I can add my runner. When I put the screen in, I realised that I really didn't like that texture in the context of the rest of the room. So I took it out and flipped it over to the painted side, but still,
I don't like it. I don't like how heavy it looks. I really don't like how you can see the rail on the outside. Yes, I could paint it, but I also don't like how this is proper black and this is kind of nearly black. I don't like how when I sit at my desk, It's in the way of my feet, so it needs some modifications.
After cutting down both the width and the length, this time I'm going to add a smaller round over. Then I can sand back that wax, and this time I'm going to use India ink to stain it jet black. This time I added a longer runner, which I think is going to work much better. This wall is looking a bit empty in the middle, as is this wall in front of my desk. 6 years ago, when I demolished this old shed at the top of our garden, I randomly found 2 panes of glass underneath the soil. And being a salvager and a bit of a hoarder, I still have these. So I asked the apprentice if she wouldn't mind giving them a clean to see if these could be usable. And they cleaned up surprisingly well. Now, one of my favourite things to do is to stand beneath big, intimidating, interesting buildings and gaze up at them. So I have hundreds of photos like that. And this particular building has no emotional relevance to me, but I do think it would look cool as an art piece. So I'm messing about with that here to create something that I think looks nice. For the other one though, I did want something that actually meant something to me, and I made this one black and white, put an orange border around it to introduce that pop of colour, and now I need to make some frames to accommodate the glass and these prints.
This timber here apparently came from the Norwich Castle renovation, and there's some walnut in here, and in 11 years on YouTube I've never had any solid walnut. So thank you, Devon, if you're watching.
After ripping the walnut down into strips, I added a big bevel to what will be the front, and then a rebate to the back to give me this shape. I can then cut the 45-degree miters to one end of each piece and then carefully measure the inside of the rebate to mark where I want to cut, leaving a couple of millimeters extra so that the glass will definitely fit. I'm using polyurethane glue for this, mainly because it sets quickly, and I added staples just to help stop things slipping around when I add the clamps. To reinforce these miter joints, I want to make a simple jig for the table saw using scraps of MDF. And I can use this to make cuts for some splines, which will provide more long grain gluing surface. And I'll use my flat tooth grooving blade to make the cuts. I then found some contrasting wood, beech in this case, to make the splines. So as it turns out, walnut is some good looking stuff. Who knew? I'm sure I'll take some criticism for this, but I'm using a pretty low-tech method for securing the back in place and hanging these frames. But as usual, I'm just using the things that I already have available to me rather than buying stuff that I might never use again. Also, I really don't care what the back of a picture frame looks like.
Another thing that Caroline loves is a rug, and as I'm kind of going for 2 different zones in this room, the workspace over here and the kind of lounge over here, I've bought a rug from Etsy. This was handmade in India, and on the listing it was orange and black, but I asked if they could swap out the black for a dark green. As a man, it goes against all my instincts to put cushions on things, but We're doing this for Caroline. I found this one in a charity shop for £2. And then the very next day, I found this one in another charity shop for £2. And I really like this one.
Let's be honest, these will probably live on the floor most of the time. But at least I have the option for making the room look nice if we have guests or whatever.
Now earlier I mentioned 3 sources of light for each room, and this is going to be my third source, which I've also set up on my smart button. This video was never going to be about some dramatic transformation, just some incremental changes to take this room from a 7 out of 10 to an 8.5 out of 10. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed it and thank you for watching.